sharing. Our next speaker is Miss Talie Davis Weir. She's going to be speaking 8 to 10 minutes. And here's her introduction. Talie would love to give back today on offering a course she has that will support people in using this pause we've been given to gain clarity about where they are and where they want to go in every important aspect of their life. She has 4 main goals that she would like to be assessed on. First goal is that people feel her care for them, that people feel her care for them, that number 2 is they feel a sense of integrity, genuinely offering support around what they value. Third is showing value, building confidence in them and getting results. And the fourth is a clear invitation of action and clarity and what next steps they need to take. Please help me welcome Miss Talie Davis Weir.
Thank you, Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, honored guest Brendan. Wonderful to have you here today. I am going to have to jet at the end, so I might have to get your feedback later or in recording. But good to be with you guys today. I would love to get your feedback. I'd like you to position yourselves as if you have just gone through an entire workshop with me, basically creating a life wheel. So you guys, most of you have heard me talk about a life wheel. This is an assessment tool that I use with my private clients. I am a life and personal development coach, and I work with leaders to create lives that they love living. And in this time of everything going on, this huge pause that I feel like we've all been given, it's an incredible opportunity to just take stock of what it is that really matters to us. I think anytime we go through something challenging, we go through a crisis, it's an opportunity for us to really look at what matters most to us. And so this life wheel, I feel like is just an incredible tool to be able to do that. And so I've been giving just some free life wheel workshops. It's not something I normally do. It's usually part of a course that I give. It's like an 8-week group coaching course that I do. And I also use this with my private clients and also on vision board retreats. But this tool in and of itself is an incredibly helpful, supportive tool to look at every important area of your life, to take stock of where you feel like you're at, like where is your satisfaction level in every important area. And so I've done a few of these. I'm going to be doing one more. And then one of the things that I'm doing is offering support around if they want to take this life wheel and use it as a springboard to get clear on what their goals are moving forward, to create more vision in their life. And so that's what I'm just going to be giving you guys the last 10 minutes. So imagine with me that you've just created your own life wheel. You have, it usually looks, somewhere in between these two, getting clear on where you're at. And then we've gone through and you've picked your top 3 areas that you're most motivated to lean into and really create some very, very specific goals around. So if you can put yourself in that place, it's done via Zoom, so it's just like this. And there have been stories all through the time sharing clients like this who went from 15% satisfaction level to, I think this is a 63% satisfaction level. And there have been stories that have gone along with all of them. So you're seeing kind of how this works when you get clear about where you're at and you create vision around where you want to be, and then how you can reverse engineer that. So I'm shortcutting an hour's worth of, experience into that much for you. So put yourself in that place. You just created your life wheel, and we've taken some sharing from a few different people about where are you at, having completed your life wheel. Chuck shared with us that, man, it was really incredible having this experience of like permission to be really honest about where I actually am, to be able to have this like safe space to go, where am I actually at? And not what I think I should be, but where I really am. And to feel this honesty in myself, give permission for that, and to be really clear about what that is, really helpful. Krista got to share with us, tears in her eyes and sharing, man, I didn't realize how low I was on the area of of rest and refuel and pouring back into myself. I'm always giving and giving and giving, and I can feel the results of that. But to be able to see it on paper, it's really validating to realize that I get to pour into my own life. I get to put on my oxygen mask so that I can keep giving. And that's really actually a super important part of life. That's like one of 8 areas that I'm evaluating my life against. This is really significant for me. And Aaron saying, you know, I thought that I was going to be at like almost all zeros. I was scared to do this assessment. And I realized, man, there are some areas that I'm really doing great. And this is super encouraging. And then it's really clear some of the steps I need to take in some of these other areas. And so there's this great connection, there's sharing going on, there's real motivation and an engaging conversation. And my goal is really to come alongside people in a way that supports them in getting clear about where it is that they want to be and how to create that. What are the next steps? So that's where we are right now. So you guys have just created this life wheel. You are feeling motivation around certain areas. I love the sharing that you've been giving. I love the openness here, your hearts connecting with one another. And my goal is to get you from this place of having this completed life wheel assessment into the next steps with that. So what I'd really like to do is just show you where we go from here, or where you can go from here. So let me pull up, if I can get it. That is not it. I think it's right here. Here we go. Can you guys see that? No, cannot see that. All right, 1 second. Tech support share screen. Hey, tech assistant. Taylor, can you help me get this onto the right screen? I can see it, but they can't see it.
Yeah, so when you go to, oh, I thought you were talking to me.
Oh, no, no, well, you might be able to help. I'm trying to get the Catalyst workbook.
Greg, I thought you were the tech assistant too.
Right, yeah, come on now.
I thought it would pull up right here, but it's not pulling up. 1 second, guys. So there's a workbook that this life wheel sits inside of, this workbook is part of a larger process that you can go through to really, it gets you from where you currently are. And what we just did is the life wheel assessment, which gives you a real picture. It's like a snapshot of your life right now, how satisfied you are in every one of these important areas right now. And then the next step is taking that information, and it baby steps you into having vision for each one of these areas. So let's see if you guys can see this now. Are you able to see it now?
Yes.
There we go. Thank you so much. So basically, if you look over here to the left, the first step is to complete a life wheel. And so you just did that. That's like one of 7 steps in this process. And it's a huge piece of the puzzle, because it's like a GPS. If you want to get somewhere, you have to have 2 really important pieces of information. One is where you currently are, and the other is where you want to go. So you just got one of those 2 really, really clear, dialed in. You know your current location. You've just been really clear and honest with yourself. And I really acknowledge each one of you for showing up, for taking the time, for investing in yourself to get clear about where you are. And for all of you who shared so openly and beautifully, that too. I mean, that's really, really significant in this process. So when you know where you are, and then the next step is getting clear about where it is that you want to be. And having done the life wheel, going through each of these sections of the life wheel, having those specific questions that you're answering are all clues for you to get you clear about where it is you want to be. And when you know that and you have those 2 pieces of information, it's almost like you can then reverse engineer and create that clear, efficient path that you're going to get there on. And you know how your GPS system, you can like go the longer way that's scenic, or you can go the most efficient way, all freeways. You get to decide what you want that mapped out version of getting from where you are to where you want to be, how you're going to get there. But it's really important to know those 2 pieces of information. So having the life wheel gives you information about where you want to be. And then when you can get really clear about that, we do something called vision declarations. And that's a really, really powerful tool. Some of you guys know about that. Some of you have been on my vision board retreats. I know Greg uses them every day. but a vision declaration is a powerful present tense statement that you can say over your life every single day that will steer you into that thing. So I'm going to give you an example of one of mine. I will do career and calling. So I am privileged to serve leaders by bringing connection, healing, inspiration, refreshment, and joy, by empowering them to be who God made them to be, fully alive, leading lives of profound impact and sustainable joy. So that is really my goal, my passion in life. That's what I'm called to and made for. And this is a step, this is a process that I have seen so much transformation for so many people. And so if you want support going from having this life wheel completed and you want to create vision in your life, you want to create that strategic path to get there, I want to offer you an invitation to be part of the course that walks through this whole thing. And you may be in a place after this life wheel, like maybe you've had experience with this before, or you know yourself and you know you'll take this work and run with it. That is awesome. If you know what you want to do with this and move it forward, beautiful. And if you want support with moving it forward, I want to show you what it is that I offer, and you can see if it's a fit for you. But at the end of this life wheel, you're in one of three places. One, you either are in a place where you're like, this is helpful information, but I am not ready to actually do the work that it's going to take to create the life that I love living. And I want you to give yourself a lot of grace. It's totally fine to be in that place, and better to be honest with yourself about it, saying, you know, it's just too scary for me to change right now, or there are often reasons, if we're stuck, there are reasons why we stay stuck. And some of those are, there's some kind of secondary gain that we get from staying stuck. And that's also okay. I just invite you to begin looking at those things and say, you know, what is it that I'm gaining from staying in this place that I don't move forward? Is it a fear of responsibility? Is it the attention that I get from being in this stuck place? Is it whatever? You know, start looking at the things that have you stuck with total permission. I need to find Cal on here. Hold on. I didn't see him. One second. Since I shared my screen, I lost him. I'm sorry, guys, about the tech issues going on. I had him up here, and now he is not here. Oh, it's red. So wrapping this up with an open mind, I invite you guys to reach out to me. Wow, that went fast. I invite you guys to reach out to me if this is something that you would like to move forward, if this is something that would support you. The course is going to be starting next Wednesday, and there will be 8 sessions that we go through via Zoom. It'll be live, and I would love to connect with you. I would love to support you in moving these things in your life forward. And yes, so you'll create vision declarations, you'll get clear on vision, you'll get clear on next steps, and we'll do it together as a group. So blessings. I hope this has been a support to you. It's wonderful having you here, and I will be emailing you a link. If it's something that you would like to move forward with, you can register on there. And if not, really enjoy moving some of these things forward with people in your life that you love. Thank you for being here tonight, and just blessings. Stop share. Woo. Wow, that went way faster than I thought. I am so sorry, you guys. I will work on the tech stuff. It'll go better and faster next time. Thank you.
No worries, Talie. If I can only vouch for Talie's process, that it is a process, and you end up in a space when you go through not just this quick experience of it, it almost transforms your thinking, and you're thinking, it's almost an out-of-body experience when you're actually writing and setting goals. And for me, it's been life-changing. So I highly recommend taking advantage of whatever Talie offers, because it is very, very powerful. Next, we have sort of our impromptu portion of it that allows our evaluators to finish up their evaluation. We probably, we could probably only do a couple, maybe 2 or 3. And it's so good to see you, Ariel, who's doing our topics today. So thank you, and please help me welcome Ariel.
Okay. Thank you. So no one would disagree with me that communication is more important than ever in this COVID-19 situation. And a new role has been added to the communication, that is reduce the social distance. Try to engage the people to your life and try to bring back the team cohesion. So today's table topic is actually come out a question that can bring deeper connection with conversation and establish the stronger personal relationship. So instead of the general question like, how are you doing today, which we can end with fine, I want you to think about something that I can give you some example here. How are you taking care of yourself today? Another example would be, what surprising thing have you been stocking up that is not toilet paper? Another good example may be, what's the easiest part about the quarantine? So I'm open-minded to whatever the question you can come out. And then the second step will be, you need to answer your own question. That's today's table topic. So any volunteer?
And pick them.
Oh, I can pick?
Yeah.
I have Roberta on the screen right now. Roberta, want to give it a shot?
That's tricky. Well, I'm challenged. I have 3 kids at home. I have a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 16-year-old. And if any of you are in a similar situation, you may not be surprised that they roll in and out of my room here asking what they can eat. What can they eat? What can they have for breakfast? What can they have for lunch? And then they're not too long after that asking, what are we going to have for dinner? So for breakfast, I tell them, what were you doing before? what was happening before? What has happened? What was happening at 7 in the morning before all this happened? So I send them back out to figure out their breakfast situation. But I'm trying to be creative. I'm trying to be a good mom. I'm trying to be the loving parent. You know, now I'm at home and I feel like I have this responsibility. So, you know, I'm buying more vegetables and I'm using my food processor and I'm chopping them all up and putting them in all little separate bags. And I can't have nuts for the one child and I can't have, you know, raisins for the other one. And so I have all these little snack things going and my refrigerator's all organized. And then I write them notes, the little love notes. And then I leave little love notes on candies and I put them in their rooms, and I'm tailoring all of these dietary demands, and I'm coupling it with guilt. It's all enveloped in a guilt of I'm home and I should be working and doing sort of self-improvement opportunities like this, like Toastmasters, and I should be that mom that is coddling her teenagers and providing them with healthy and unique meals and something different every single day. So that has been a unique outcome of this quarantine. And, you know, hopefully when they return to school someday, they will appreciate those custom made lunches that they will no longer receive. I promise that. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. So I heard a joke for the COVID-19. So right now we are trying to measure the temperature to make sure that to confirm the COVID-19. So after the COVID-19 age, we will try to measure our waist size.
Ariel, I'll take a crack at this.
Sure.
The question that I would have is, what is the value add of COVID-19 on your life? I look at that question and there are 3 or 4 things that come to mind to me. One of which is I've had the opportunity to get a unique perspective of my wife who telecommutes full time. So I understand now some of her complaints, some of the positives that she shared. Secondly, this has been a very, very interesting and unique opportunity for me to see the habits of my children as it relates to working remotely or doing school remotely. I have 3 kids, ages 17, 12, and 8. So it has been incredibly interesting to watch their habits grow, to watch them get more organized. Thirdly, This has been a value add for me to assess my team and their ability to work remotely, how they've embraced it, how they've produced in it, and just to process general feedback. With that being said, we're making probably some major changes in how we do work in the future and preparing for upcoming seasons as it relates to fall and winter. And then fourthly, and I believe most importantly, this has given me an opportunity to really connect with my children and my wife on a level that I think has been missing for probably 4 to 5 years. This is a time when we've sat down at the dinner table, talked about each other's day. We're not running from soccer practice to football training to speed training. We're all having a conversation, sharing our day over the course of a meal. So it's been a very, very, very strong value add for our family and for myself.
Thank you. Now I'm worried about next week after the school ends for my kids. They are going to ask me, what should I do now?
That's all we have time for
Okay.
right now, Ariel. Thank you so much. Good work. Thank you, Jeremy. It's good to hear from you, buddy. Our newest member.
Greg, I think I owe you a presentation or a speech, I think.
There we go, buddy. I'll be calling your number next week.
I'll work on that.
All right. That sounds good. Thank you. Next is one of our most important parts is the evaluation portion of it. I was going to have Brendan go first if Talie was still here, but since she had to sign off, we'll turn our table to David Nickel, and he'll be evaluating Brendan's speech. Thank you very much. Please help me welcome Dave.
All right, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and particularly you, Brendan. First of all, we're grateful that you came to our club to be our guest. We're grateful for this presentation. It was a helpful presentation. Lots of interesting points. I, too, like the point that Greg made. Be obsessive with your audience. That is, you know, love them or get them to love you, whatever. So now, what I did say to Greg when he surprisingly told me I was going to be evaluating you, Brendan, is that he's a speech coach. He knows Toastmasters, so I'm going to hold him to a higher bar. Okay? So are you open-minded? All right. So I'm going to start off with some things I'm going to call food for reflection. First of all, it was interesting for us, and I'm looking at it both as a workshop and also as a Toastmaster presentation. However, I think most of us know most of those points, but there were some new points. So that would be one point here for your reflection if you give it to another Toastmaster club. You used slides, which you clearly already pre-prepared, and that gave it good structure, good organization. On the other hand, I kept feeling, I wish this guy would break out. You know, Talie is a good example of a person, she just totally forgets herself. And so I felt it was a little bit like it was a performance, whereas I would prefer it to be more conversational, even with us. The other thing also, I know this was a pre-prepared presentation. Again, I'm saying it was helpful. I actually thought there were so many points, it might have been better to have given us 3 major points, something like that. And I also thought you had an extremely strong finish, well done. I thought the beginning could have been somewhat improved in the sense that you gave context, you gave some of your background, and I'm saying, where is he headed with this? Where is he headed? And it was a little unclear. So there's that point. But I think you did set a context and you did give good background there in the beginning. Now, you also mentioned the importance of emotions, Brendan, sorry, but I don't feel a lot of emotion from you. And so you're speaking this and you're teaching this. I just think you could break out of yourself a lot more. And so it was it had interesting content. We learned some new things, but we're Toastmasters and we we focus on these areas. You have a good presence, a neat looking guy, well organized, well prepared, strong presence. And I think I would just say, I know that's pretty straight. I hope you'll be open-minded and come back again, Mr. General Evaluator.
Well, he promised he wasn't going to hold back, so good job, David. I appreciate that. Thank you, Brendan. Our next evaluator is Brendan, evaluating Talie. And so please take it away, my friend.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Greg. And thank you so much, David, for the awesome feedback. So I'll definitely take those points to table and improve for next time. So I think what I'll do instead is I'll give a general evaluation for Talie that I think will be applicable to every single member in the club as well. So one thing that I always give as an analogy in my videos or to people who hire me is the way I want you to think about a presentation. Let's say you have 8 or 10 minutes. A good analogy that not many people think about is every single second in your presentation is like a drop of water. So it's a drop of water in a glass of water that you haven't had in a week. So if you haven't had water in a week and you're really thirsty, you're going to want to squeeze every little drop of water in the glass. And that is exactly the same way that I want you to think about your presentations, whether they're in Toastmasters, whether they're in area contests. You really want to perfect your presentation for the length of time that you have. My presentation is a good example of that. That same deck, as you notice, because sometimes I present 3, sometimes I present 2 tips, I have 5 different versions of the same presentation. One for the full keynote, so the 60 minutes. Another one for some Toastmaster clubs, I actually only speak for 7 minutes. So I only teach one of the tips. So I have a version for each one. So what Talie did really good is she's a really powerful speaker, the way that she speaks. But one thing she could have done better is just focused on one of the 7 elements and really gone deep into it. So I can give you some examples of how she could have went about that, and I'll tell her that after. One example is this question that you can think about is imagine a world where your ideas were spread. So a good example with Talie's specific context is in her presentation, what really would have made it like amazing is if she thought about a world where everybody was using a life wheel. How would that world look like, right? If everyone knew what the world was like, what things that they can be improved upon, if everyone was using a life wheel, how would that world be different? Wouldn't it be magical if you thought about it? Right? Every single person in the room using a life wheel. So in that same way, with that picture in mind, it completely changes the 8-minute presentation. Instead of using a slide and going through the 7 elements, you're just imagining a world where the life wheel is a thing. So an example that I could have used is a low vocal tone variation. So for instance, when she says, and I'll end the feedback with this, when she talks about the life wheel, I would challenge her to say, hey, why don't you tell a personal story about how you use the life wheel to change your life? Because we can relate to you, which then relates to the life wheel. Another way of saying, she says the following sentence, I get to pour into my life, into the lives of others. So one thing she could have done is she could have said the exact same thing with a low variation vocal tone, like so. I get to pour into the lives of every single person around me. So that's a lot more inspiring because you get pulled into the person, whereas Talie was going really quickly through everything instead of just saying, hey, every single second is a drop of water. So let's make every drop count. Thanks for having me, everyone.